Hi everyone, we're here on day 4 of the test of the Aertex Shore Saver, which is a machine we're testing here on a weedy, mucky area of a 160-acre lake to see what this machine really can do under some pretty challenging conditions. So as I pan around, you'll see we're in an area that has a lot of lily pads a ways away from the machine, a lot of floating weeds. And if I look down, you'll see some weeds near the bottom. What I want to point out here is that 4 days ago when we started this test, this is a stand of Eurasian water milfoil, which is an aggressive, very fast-growing invasive plant that's plaguing many, many lakes and shorefronts across North America. And if you look down, you can see that these weeds are laid over, browned out, really starting to be stressed and dying. I expect them to be completely dead and laid over maybe in another day or two based on what we're seeing in terms of progress so far. The important thing about this is 4 days ago when we started this test, this was a vibrant, healthy stand of thick Eurasian water milfoil that was nearly topping out to the surface. There was only about 6 inches of water until you hit the top of the weeds that were all standing up tall and green with bright red tips. Now you can see that these weeds are laid over, thinned out, and dying. I'd say a good percentage of them have already fully died and are laying on the bottom, and what you're seeing is the remnants of this thick bed just barely hanging on and starting to also fully drop out to the bottom. Quite an amazing result. No chemicals were used in this area whatsoever. This is simply the action of this very aggressive Aertex Shore Saver mixer aerator, and what we believe is going on and are pretty confident based on the testing that we've done is that while you see a lot of aggressive mixing at the surface with this machine, the real magic happens below the surface, where the Aertex Shore Saver is able to aggressively pull water up from below. And the evidence of that is the fact that you can see these weeds all being pulled in the direction of the mixer. And as it pulls up that water from below, right at the sediment layer down at the bottom of the lake, we're also pulling out the nutrients that are feeding all of this plant growth. The nutrients that are mixed in with that water that's in the sediment and muck that feeds all of this growth. And we're able to pull those nutrients into the machine, highly oxidize it in that very aggressive mixing aeration zone, and essentially burn those nutrients up and make them unavailable for the plants that are now starting to diminish and die right around the unit. What we're going to be looking at in continuation of this test is how far away from the machine do we get this area of impact in terms of weeds dropping out. So far, we're seeing this kind of result at least 25 to 30 foot radius around the machine, and we expect actually even beyond that, we're starting to see weakening of some of the plants. So as we continue to run this test, we're expecting that this unit should be able to clean up an area that's at least 50 feet in diameter, or 50 feet in radius, so 100 feet in diameter around the machine. And as you can see, it's just tethered to the boat lift here. It's got a small cement block holding the other pontoon in place, and it's very easy to go out and move this 15 or 20 feet and then start to impact another area. As I pan over here, you'll see that this is a very distressed part of my shoreline here, where we still have some floating dead weeds at the surface and some algae growing on that. One thing I want to point out is when we started this test, the entirety of this area was covered with that same floating weed mass that you see over here in the corner. So we've diminished it greatly, and I believe over time are pulling in as that weed starts to continue to die and degrade as a result of the water quality improvements that we're causing with this unit. We'll be pulling in that dead material and fragments and burning it up in the machine, and I expect to see a continued reduction in that floating weed that's at shore a good 50-60 feet away from the machine. That is a little bit remains to be seen, but so far we've seen some great progress on that floating mass that really was unsightly on my shoreline. I've done nothing in terms of raking any of that out. This is purely the action of the Aertex Shore Saver cleaning up this area through its aggressive mixing and aeration action that quite literally is clearing up the water of the weeds and muck on the bottom. You can see we're not spreading muck around the lake. The water is crystal clear. It's just a very effective and aggressive aeration action that this machine is producing that's allowing us to degrade the nutrients and the muck on the bottom that's feeding all these weeds and deliver nice clear water at the same time. Thanks for listening. Great progress with the Aertex Shore Saver. I look forward to sharing more with you as we continue the test.